Hello everyone, I'm Sarah. Welcome to my little corner, what I like to call my Golden Years Journal, where we sit down together, sip an imaginary cup of tea, and share everyday stories, especially about money after 60. Today, I want to tell you a very real story from my own life. How I, a retired woman with a modest pension that barely stretched, managed to save $10,000 in just a few short years. If you've ever looked in the mirror, seen your hair turning gray, and wondered, can I make it with this little money? Then I hope my story brings you a bit of light, or at least an idea worth trying. Let me be clear, I'm no financial expert. I don't have an overflowing bank account or clever investments up my sleeve. I'm just an ordinary woman who's lived over 6 decades, worked in an office for 30 years, and now figuring out how to make do with what I've got. I won't promise you a get-rich-quick secret, but I believe what I'm sharing today, lessons from my struggles and small joys, might help you find a gentler, more confident way to live at this age. So stick with me, won't you? Let's walk through this story together. When I officially retired at 62, I thought I was ready for a new chapter. After 30 years as an office worker at a small insurance company in the suburbs, I started receiving a monthly pension. It wasn't much, just enough to cover rent, basic groceries, and maybe a few dollars left for coffee with old friends. I pictured a slower life, planting rose beds in my front yard, reading novels in the afternoon sun, or driving to visit my grandkids in the next city over. I even bought a new pair of walking shoes, dreaming of morning strolls in the park. But life, as you probably know, rarely matches the rosy pictures we paint in our heads. Just a few months into retirement, I started feeling the strain. Bills piled up faster than I'd expected. Electricity costs shot up in the summer because I ran the air conditioner more to escape the stifling heat. Water bills weren't cheap either. I loved watering my plants every day, watching the green sprouts thrive in my little garden. It made me feel alive. Then came groceries. I couldn't believe how fast prices climbed. One day, I stood in the local supermarket, holding a tiny basket, a couple of pasta packs, a bunch of kale, a carton of low-fat milk, and 2 apples. I figured it'd be about $20.25, but when the cashier rang it up, the total flashed $48. I stood there, staring at the screen, fumbling through my wallet for change. Driving home, I kept asking myself, how am I going to survive on this? Honestly, I started to panic. I didn't want to burden my kids. My eldest, Lisa, has 2 little ones and a demanding job. My youngest, Michael, is juggling a mortgage. I couldn't call them up and say, Mom needs money. But at the same time, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't go back to full-time work. My legs ache if I stand too long, and my eyes blur when I stare at a computer screen. The pension was fixed. Not a penny more was coming. One evening, I sat alone in my living room, holding a cup of ginger tea that had gone cold hours ago. The table lamp cast faint shadows on the wall. I looked around my small house, the worn-out sofa, the scratched wooden table, and thought, Sarah, if this keeps up, you'll run dry soon. Then a spark lit up in my mind. I said to myself, I can't change how much I get, but I can change how I use it. I grabbed a piece of paper and a pencil from the drawer, sat at the kitchen table, and decided it's time for a change. Not to chase more money, because that wasn't realistic at my age, but to manage what I had better. That was the moment everything started. The first thing I did was sit down with a little notebook, a cheap one I'd picked up at the convenience store, with a faded green cover. I grabbed a sharpened pencil, took a deep breath, and started listing every single monthly expense: electricity, water, groceries, health insurance, even gas, though I rarely drove. Then I dug deeper into the smaller stuff, the things I usually overlooked, and I stumbled on something that shocked me. I was wasting so much money on things I didn't really need. Take this, for example. I was paying $80 a month for a cable TV package with over 100 channels, news, movies, cooking shows I never fully watched. I turned it on every day, but mostly just for background noise, to fill the emptiness of the house. I asked myself, do I really need this? Or am I just keeping it out of habit? I sat there staring at the old TV on its wooden stand and thought, it's time to say goodbye. The next day, I called the cable company and canceled it. The operator asked, "Are you sure? We have a cheaper plan, just $50. I chuckled and said, "Thanks, but I think I'll be fine with radio and books." At first I was nervous. I worried I'd get bored, that the house would feel too quiet. But then I found replacements. I tuned into free radio. There's this storytelling program I adore, like stepping back into childhood. I also started going to the local library, 2 blocks from my house. I borrowed thick novels, cookbooks, even gardening guides. Just with that one small change, I saved nearly $1,000 a year. $1,000, can you imagine? All from letting go of something I once thought was essential. That got me going. I checked my electric bill and realized I left the hallway light on all night for no reason. So I bought a $10 timer switch, saved me a chunk right there. I swapped regular bulbs for LEDs, pricier up front, but cheaper over time. Then groceries. I used to shop twice a week, tossing whatever caught my eye into the cart, no plan. I'd end up throwing out leftovers, a wilted carrot bag, half a stale loaf. Now I go once a week, with a list. 3 pasta packs, 1 pound of potatoes, 2 cans of tuna. One time I laughed at myself digging through the pantry and finding an old potato sack sprouting. I'd bought too much and forgotten it. So my first tip for you is this: sit down, grab a piece of paper, and really look at your bills. Is there something you're paying for that you don't use? Maybe it's cable like mine, an old magazine subscription you don't read, or buying coffee out instead of brewing at home. Try cutting it for just 1 month, and see how it feels. I bet you'll be amazed at what you save, and the pride you'll feel doing it yourself. After trimming expenses quite a bit, I felt lighter, but I still wanted more. I thought, could I earn a little extra? I didn't want a full-time job. At this age, I can't stand 8 hours in a store or sit typing all day. My hands tremble with heavy things, and my knees creak climbing stairs. But I didn't want to just sit and wait for the pension either. So I looked at myself, at what I loved doing. I remembered how much I loved knitting as a young girl. My mom taught me how to hold the needles, how to make basic stitches when I was 15. I adored the feel of yarn sliding through my fingers, watching loops turn into something real. It was like a little magic trick. Work kept me too busy for it back then, but now retired, I had whole days to sit by the window, knitting and listening to the wind in the garden. So I thought, why not turn this into money? I started with simple scarves. I picked soft colors, pastel blue, ash gray, pale pink, hues I thought would suit the chilly weather. Each scarf took me about 2 evenings. At first, I planned to gift them to friends or my grandkids, but then I wondered, why not sell them at the market? My town has a weekend farmers market where folks sell everything: veggies, honey, crafts. I wrapped my first 5 scarves in newspaper, tucked them in an old wicker basket, and headed there. That first day, I was so nervous my hands shook setting up. I worried no one would buy, that they'd think my work was clumsy. But then an elderly woman with silver hair stopped by. She touched the blue scarf I'd made, looked up and said, "You made this? It's beautiful and so soft. I'll take one for my granddaughter." She handed me $15. I took the bill, and my heart soared in. From then on, I brought scarves every week, selling them for $10 or $15 each. Some months I made $50, others up to $100 if it was cold and folks bought more. It wasn't a fortune, but it let me buy nicer food, a favorite cheese block, some fresh salmon, and fix the leaky porch roof after a big rain. The best part, it didn't feel like work. I'd knit in the evenings, sitting in my old armchair, listening to radio stories, sipping ginger tea. Once I finished a lemon yellow scarf, and my neighbor popped by. She loved it, begged to buy it for $20 because it matches my coat perfectly. I laughed and said, "Yo, take it. I'll make you another." Another buyer asked, "How long have you been knitting these?" I half joked, "Since before my hair went all gray." They laughed, and I realized that at this age, our life experience can turn into something valuable for us and others. So, my second tip is, look at your hobbies, the things you're good at or love. Love cooking? Try making strawberry jam, butter cookies, or a small bread batch to sell locally. Gardening? Fresh veggies, flowers, or little potted plants could bring in some cash. Handy with repairs. Fix a neighbor's broken fan or lamp for a small fee. Here in America, people cherish handmade goods, things with a personal touch. And at our age, we've got something the young don't. Time. Time to do what we love without rush or pressure. After over 2 years sticking with these small changes, one day I opened my banking app. My son Michael set it up for me. Though I need reading glasses to see the tiny text, I looked at the balance and couldn't believe it. $10,000. I rubbed my eyes, checked again, afraid I'd misread. But no, there it was, clear and beautiful. I sat down, hand on my chest, and said, "Yeah, Sarah, you actually did it." That number didn't come from big windfalls. I didn't win the lottery or inherit anything. It came from tiny steps adding up. About 2,000 from ditching cable and cutting utilities. Nearly 3,000 from knitting scarves and selling them. The rest was from spending smarter. No more wasted food, no splurging on extras, plus a little habit I started in my second retirement year. My final tip is this. Start saving a small, steady amount each week. I picked $5. Sounds tiny, right? I grabbed an old glass jar from the kitchen. The kind that once held orange marmalade I'd finished long ago. Every weekend, I'd drop in $5. Sometimes a few coins if I had change from the store. Some weeks I forgot, but I'd make up for it later. $5 a week adds up to $260 a year. 2 years, over $500. With that, I did something I dreamed of. I bought a green upholstered armchair. I remember the day it arrived. The delivery guy set it by my living room window, right where I read. I sat down, ran my hands over the soft fabric, smelled the faint new wood scent. I added a little pillow, brewed some tea, and settled in with the diary of Anne Frank from the library. I looked out at my garden, the rose bushes blooming, and felt a happiness I can't explain. Not because the chair was fancy, it cost just $200, but because I earned it. From those $5 savings, from my own effort, I learned that at this age, managing money isn't about making a ton or living lavishly like when we were young. It's about holding on to what you have, building bit by bit, and enjoying the simple joys it brings. $10,000 isn't a brag-worthy fortune, but to me, it's proof I can still steer my life, even past my prime. It gave me security, the sense that I'm not just surviving, I'm living meaningfully. That's my story, my friends, a quiet, unglamorous journey, with no dazzling lights or dramatic turns, but one woven from the threads of real life, raw and unpolished. It's not the kind of tale you'd read in a glossy magazine or see on a big screen. It's just me, stumbling through my days, piecing together small victories with trembling hands and a hopeful heart. I hope it stirred something in you, a flicker of warmth deep in your chest, a gentle push to try something simple today. Maybe it's reaching for that dusty remote to turn off a cable subscription you barely watch, feeling the silence settle in, and realizing it's not so bad. Or perhaps it's picking up a pair of knitting needles, or whatever tool calls to your soul, and crafting something with love, something that could bring a few dollars and a smile. Or maybe it's as small as taking an old jar from your kitchen shelf, the one that once held jam or pickles, and slipping $5 inside each week, watching it grow like a seedling in spring. What about you? How have you found ways to save, to stretch what little you have in this season of life? Please share your stories with me in the comments below. I'd treasure hearing them. Every one of you carries a lesson, a spark of wisdom, and I'd love nothing more than to sit here, reading them, learning from you as you've learned from me. When I look back on these years, I see something far bigger than a bank balance or a neat stack of bills. I see a lesson that's etched itself into my bones, one that's about more than money. It's about life itself, about what it means to grow old and still stand tall. When I first hung up my office badge and stepped into retirement, I was terrified. I thought it was the end of any freedom I'd ever had with money. I saw those tiny numbers in my account, those cold, unyielding digits, and felt like they'd chained me to a life of worry, a prisoner to every rising bill and unexpected leak in the roof. I'd lie awake some nights, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long I could keep going before everything crumbled. But then something shifted. Retirement didn't break me. It taught me. It taught me how to take control when I thought I had none left, how to hold each small dollar in my hands like it was a precious gift, and how to find joy in the things I'd once overlooked. The rustle of a library book's pages, the comfort of a warm scarf I'd made myself, the weight of coins clinking into a jar. That $10,000 isn't just money sitting in a bank. It's a testament to patience, to bending without breaking, to waking up each day and saying, I can still make this better. It's a quiet rebellion against giving up, whether you're 20 with the world ahead or 70 with the world behind. I've come to see that life in these later years isn't what I thought it was. It's not a race to pile up more cash, more things, more proof of success to flash at the world. No, it's something gentler, deeper, a journey to live fully, richly, with whatever's in our hands, no matter how little it seems. We don't need to be wealthy to feel whole. We just need to learn how to hold what we have, how to shape it with care, and how to taste the sweetness in the smallest bites. Picture this. If I, a woman with creaky knees and a pension that barely covered the basics, could save $10,000 from knitting scarves in the glow of an evening lamp and tucking away $5 at a time, then you can do it too, in your own beautiful way. Maybe $10,000 isn't your goal. Maybe it's $500 to buy a rocking horse for your grandkids, their squeals of delight echoing through your heart. Maybe it's $100 to finally fix that squeaky window that's kept you up at night, letting you sleep in peace. Or maybe it's just $50 to treat yourself to a warm coat from the thrift store, something to wrap around you like a hug. The magic isn't in the number, it's in the starting, in taking those fragile, brave little steps forward. So here's my wish for you, my plea from the bottom of my heart. Try this in your own life, right now, today. Walk through your home with fresh eyes. See that coffee maker gathering dust while you buy lattes downtown. That gym membership you forgot to cancel. That extra light left burning in an empty room. Ask yourself, what's draining me that I don't even need? Then look deeper. What do you love? What makes your hands itch to create? Could you bake bread with that old recipe your mom gave you? Sell it warm and fragrant to a neighbor? Could you tend a garden patch, coaxing tomatoes or daisies to life, and share them for a few coins? Could you dust off a skill, sewing, fixing, painting, and turn it into a quiet stream of purpose? And then start saving, even if it's just $1 a week. Find a jar, a tin, anything. A cracked mug will do. And drop in whatever you can spare. Watch it grow, slow and steady, like a tree you'll one day sit under. These tiny acts don't just pad your wallet, they lift your spirit. They whisper to you, you're still here. You're still steering this ship through calm waters and storms, no matter how many years have etched themselves into your skin. That's the gift this journey gave me. Not just the money, but the knowing I'm still alive, still capable, still dreaming. And oh, how I hope you find that gift too. Thank you for sitting with me through all this, for letting an old lady with gray hair, a few too many wrinkles, and a voice that sometimes shakes, pour her heart out to you. I'm no sage, no hero, just Sarah, still full of hope, still believing in the small miracles we can make for ourselves. If my story touched you, if it lit even a candle's worth of light in your day, please press that like button and subscribe. I'd love to share more tales with you. Until next time, my friends, may your day be gentle, your heart be light, and your steps be brave. Goodbye for now.